Dude. Hey guys, let me get some caffeine, and then we'll get started here. Let's click on the cues and we'll get the party started. All right, let me give you your fancy opening. Hold on. Get some tunes, get the people going. Here we go. Hold on. I got the speakers on today, so you guys have an echo? You might have an echo. All right, let's get to a couple things here that are not going my way. I believe something's not going my way. Let's start here and see, just in case we can catch this. In case somebody wants out of that. Okay, let's get to this. Well, you don't have to worry about econ data. That's nice. You know, Powell's going to cut rates in October. We got that going for us. Let's get to this and check our levels and get this party started. This just looks awful. But it is what it is. So I got the $20 camera on. It's actually better than the other one. It doesn't die. It's just kind of crazy, right? All right. What are we doing? Let's start here. Let's start with the put and call walls and see where we're at, and then go from there, right? And then we can get this party started. I think we're going to do hell or high water from now on, 8:15, whether I'm ready to go or not, and then go from there so that we can have more time and wrap this up by 9. So I think that's where we're going tomorrow, guys. I think we're just going to have scorched earth, prepped or not prepped, 8:15. That's my goal for tomorrow. And then we'll just rock it, and then we'll go from there. So your put wall, and your same levels. So let's get to it. Let's do it. Same levels. I don't see a real reason here to think about anything differently. Let's go to this and this and that 610 jumped. You're up to 620. You have room to run like a mofo in here right now. Gamma's still 600. So you have room here, man. I'm surprised you haven't got back to 612 yet. You're probably heading there soon. So that's really how I see your big levels. That put wall trade yesterday that we did was just perfect. It was literally perfect. We had puts coming in and literally just puts coming into it, and then it just went perfectly right to the put wall, closed them. Then we paid $1.80 for them, closed the last part at 9. I did get a lot of questions about a TradeZilla and showing that stuff again. Yeah, I will. I'll start doing it again. I'm actually doing a count over a year and then just show just like swing trades or something and just show like every single trade in the account for like 1 year. And then we just kind of go through it. I think it might be a good idea to monitor that and then kind of go from there and go, hey, this is what's going on. This is how it's going. It's just hard with time to find the time, but I think it's a great idea the more I thought about it. So let's get that out there. Let's go take a look at the SPY and see what's going on there and see what we have. So you're still up here and you're still like down here and you can't get to it. And 670 is still an issue. So your levels, your levels are your levels. They really haven't changed much. So I really don't see the sense in putting in like inferior levels. Do you have some support levels like right or resistance levels right around here? But I don't know. I don't know if that's going to be that big of an issue now, but we should probably put that there since it's hitting it so we can see it, right? And that support might flip to resistance. What stock did you find? SVIX. Okay. Oh, all right. And let's put that there. And let's clean that up. And then let's get to ES. Let's see what we got going on there. Yeah, we'll just leave these fib levels in and you can see exactly what's happening there. They've been perfect, like literally perfect. You come right down to that 23.6, you bounced. 50 has been a great demarcation line, but I really think it's more the fib there than anything else. I'm sorry, the VWAP from the peak from when the nonsense started. And then if you're here over from 340 on Tuesday, it's just straight out buying. And nothing's really changed there. So yeah, I think it's pretty interesting. And now you can obviously see, I think you're heading back to that 68. I don't see why you wouldn't, but no, we'll see how this goes. But I don't know. I really don't know why why it wouldn't do that. So we'll have to keep that in mind. I'm just trying to figure out like what's going to get it down. Like you don't even have data. I mean, what's he going to threaten? Cooking oil again? We're going to super stop with cooking oil this time? This time we're really serious? It's like children, for God's sake. So I think you can get back to that level. I do. I think you can get back there. Again, you've been testing that over and over again, and you held. right? Test, rallies, can't get over the higher high, tests, holds, over, test. And you can just see it getting tighter and tighter in there. We were watching it when we were trading yesterday. And then as soon as it held, you knew, like, okay, go net long. I mean, market's not going to go higher and your names are going to go down. Like, it doesn't make any sense, right? So always in times like this, you should always be looking at what the index is doing. Because if the index is dropping, your name's not going to go up. Not for much longer. Maybe for a period of time it can. But that's really about it. So definitely something to keep in mind. So let's go there. And there's going to be a ton of names that you guys are going to ask about. So I'd rather just, we'll just jump into them. I think that's a better way to go about it, right? So, yep. Good.
Order cancel.
Yep. Let's cancel that out. And let's get into these questions. Yeah, I don't think there's much to say or do there. I mean, I don't know what got it out of its shell, but I don't see any reason why it's not going to go higher. Like, I literally don't see any reason why that's not going to go higher. So I do own it, but I own it like super long term. So I don't really do much with it. There's not really much to do. It's where America shops. I mean, it is what it is. So I don't really see much to do. It's not going to change. I don't see how it changes anytime soon anyway. Do you want to do it? You can. I mean, there's not really much to say about it. It's a decent move. And you're starting to see some rotation right into that stuff. I think this is more interesting in a way. If you can kind of get it together. I thought this was a little more interesting. What's going on there. But what do I know? Say it. You seem to really be holding that 900. Okay. So if you look at that, like, what do you say? High, lower high, but you're holding the level. So what are you doing? Right? You're working it off. So, and you found your stabilization. And you kind of have a divergence there, don't you? Right? Like right after earnings. And you couldn't break down even though comps weren't where they were supposed to be. So I don't know. Isn't that special? So that's definitely something that I find super interesting, how you're holding that level. All right, what's dropping? Because this is making me sad. Because this doesn't happen to me. It happens to other people. Let me see if I put pressure on this, if it actually dumps.
Order partially fell.
Little British guy says, no, it's not going to dump. Okay, then I'm not going to sell more. Sometimes I'll do that. I'll sell like little bits, like right on a key level, and just see how the stock reacts. All right. Anyway, let's get to it. What else you got for us, brother? Monster. You love that Monster. That Monster energy drink. I'll start calling you Kyle. Hold on, Kyle. Is it the whole space? This one's more appealing to me, to be honest. I don't trade these, but that one's more appealing. Pepsi has a stake in them, right? So, man, they made out like a bandit on that stake. Yeah, not really much to say there. I mean, it looks like an absolute monster, huh? Get it? See how I did that? So, but, you came down and tested twice now. Right? So you tested twice, John. Bonk, 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 bonk. So whoever that is who was saying, we'll sell all you have, they're like, yeah, that was a bad idea. See your evening star pattern, rallies up, doji, break, flips. So, I mean, it's pretty easy trade. You just don't want to close below that. It's there. Did you have the vol? Yeah, I mean, you definitely have enough. It's definitely there. I mean, it's a super easy trade if you want it. It's definitely there. Good morning. Do I need antimony? Good morning, Di. I don't know. Do we need antimony? What do we do with that? I don't know. Maybe we do need antimony the way this thing's trading. You better get your antimony while it's hot. I don't know. Sure looks that way. Let's see what's going on here. What is going on here? Boop. Ah. Well, you might be on to something. Because you flipped that level and you never, ever looked back. No retest like these. See how these all had that retest? So, and let's take a look at the volume scale. This is the most volume you've ever had. So I don't know what they do. I don't know what I need antimony for. I feel like a Bond villain when I say it, but it's kind of hard to miss that, right? Maybe if we just took from, like, I don't want to go all the way up, but what happens if we just drop a line from, like, let's do it from 20. And we'll get the pandemic in there too. Boom, 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 boom. Okay, so that's a pretty good area to look at, right? Because you can see that you had all that right in there, all that garbage. Bonk, 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 bonk. And then you made your decision. Super interesting that that bar was red. Because that's a long-legged doji if I've ever seen one. This is really interesting. See, a lot of these miners are going to be overlooked because they had small parts of gold and silver, even though that's the name of their company, and larger parts of other stuff, right? But what's so interesting about it is they made the gold and silver their name. And I don't know their breakout of it, but they made the gold and silver their name because that's where they were trying to get attention. If that makes sense. I know, Di, you might be on to something here. How big was that? How big was that doji? Bum, 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 bum. 24 cents. So what do we got there? Yeah, I mean, it's 2x almost. So there's definitely something there. I mean, I could see why that would be of interest. I'm interested for sure in something like this. These little guys are what you want to look for because that's what they're going to put their money into. So definitely, I'd watch that. What I'd probably want to do is just put an alert right above that doji so I know when it goes off. You know, what is this? Oh, it's volume. And what's this one? I'll leave it there for now. So that's interesting, Di. Thank you. BE, I own. LEU, I own these things, and like I just sit with them. I mean, there's not really much to do here. We actually bought this one back. There's not really much to do with it. You know, I traded it out some on the news because I didn't know how big this fight was going to be. And apparently this fight is just showing how actually what the current U.S. administration is doing is working, it looks like. And China's got some real problems, it looks like. If you don't believe that, go look at what Louis Vuitton's saying and go look at ASML and what they're saying about China right now and the slowdown that they're saying there. It's an issue. I actually think that's where Ferrari's screwing up, but we don't have time for all that. And trying to cater to that market. But anyway, I do think that these names, there's not much to do. I remember buying this thing at 88 thinking I was nuts. And, you know, you had some guy come out and downgrade it here. He had obviously, you know, no clue. Another guy downgraded it in here, no clue. And every time I turn around with these names, it's like I could never figure this one out. It looks like someone out there today is saying something that I've been saying forever on it. Like it just makes zero sense where these names are at. Like BWXT makes no sense where they are. So especially if these names are just going to keep rocking like this, that make no revenue, and these names do billions. So I like all that stuff. I think it's all great. I looked at this at $3. I said, no, that's okay. I got enough of these like PLC names. $3. I looked at this thing. I don't know, man. I don't know why I would need to own it right now. Why? Like, what's my catalyst, dude? I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm just like, what's my catalyst? Golden X EL Cup. Good morning from Tokyo. Yeah, LVM UY. It's another way to play Louis Vuitton. So, you know, it's always so weird how they come up with earnings in their updates. I don't know. I don't know. I buy this one. I'm not really sure why I do this one versus the other one, but I think it's got something to do with I think when I looked into it, it had something to do with the way it's held or something. There was something that more appropriate for me in that one. I don't remember why, but they're both derivatives. So I don't really remember why I felt that way. Anyway, yeah, it seems like they had some really good notes about how the consumer's doing, and the consumer doesn't seem to be in trouble, and neither does, neither do these companies like Morgan Stanley and, some of this other stuff. Really doesn't seem like it's really going to have a bad day, does it? Like this stuff's just rocking, So we don't really see the need for this stuff to not continue. It's pretty interesting the way it's happening. You can see your level right there, and probably just going to keep grinding. So probably very little to do with it except just let it grind, So it seems like that turnaround's really working there. New CEO seems to get it together. Worth paying attention to. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Say no more. PSCT. I was just talking about this, bro. I was literally just talking about this today. That I would go through the holdings, but I think the more interesting thing about this is this. So if you go and take a look from when you knew you were going to have a change in trend, every change in trend that you knew you were going to have, like every one that you knew you were going to have. Now this one doesn't go back as far, but every single one that you knew you were going to have with rates. If you go back, small caps versus the Mag 7. Small cap tech always outperforms. And you start seeing it right in here when they start realizing that they're going to cut rates. And then all of a sudden it's all small cap tech. You can't miss it. You literally can't miss it. So it's another way to look at this. I showed it yesterday. We're not going to do it now for time's sake, but yeah, I agree. Those names. This is where all the cool kids are. PLTR is upgraded. I own it. I don't think there's much for me to do with it. Looks like we're up more than 22 now. I think we're up like in the 30s or something off the last entry. Right in here somewhere. Right here, I think it was. So, no, it had to be cheaper than that. I don't know. Somewhere here we bought it. Still in the darn thing. There's not much to do with it. What I don't like is this. I'll just show it. So if you take a look at that level over, you'll see it when I drop it in here like it's hot. Hold on. I'm going to drop it like it's hot. Watch. I'm not really crazy about that. See the top of that doji? Right in there? So bonk, boom, bonk, boom, again and again and again into that area. So whoever's there, they want out. 87.25. So that's really the area that when it gets to, it's where you really look at like trimming. So if it got up there today, I'd probably trim some. Actually, I will trim some. Hold on 1 second. ASML was real good, Aaron. I really do think that was good. I owned it. I kicked it this morning. I still have puts that I sold. I sold puts. I did a big credit spread yesterday. I also did one above too. I have all kinds of things on it. I have all kinds of trades on that because they're so inflated. Looks like the biggest one was the 935 puts I sold for 16. And I bought the 900s to protect it. So I'll net like 9 a share on it or something. What else you got? NRG, I don't, there's not really a whole lot to say about this. Like, to me, this was just the easiest trade. It made no sense to me whatsoever when all this stuff started happening and these names were not breaking out. And then it's like all of a sudden people were like, oh yeah, that one. You start looking at this stuff like CEG finally breaking out, and you go back to this mark on where they changed the name of that facility and realize that you're about to double, or you look at VST, like you just need more power, man. And if you need more power, like this is really where I think this all goes. And this is where I think people are not getting it at all. Like start with, I don't know, maybe start with where the power is. Like, it seems that it's such an easy trade and everyone's like overthinking it, but I don't know, maybe start buying the current utility companies because they're going to start making more money. So like maybe start there. So I don't know, man. That's like such the easy trade. And I was just looking at this the other day. Do you remember this one? And then everybody thought that it wasn't going to go. And it blew up back here because I think it was NEP back there couldn't pay. I think they got rid of this, right? Did they finally get rid of NEP? And they got rid of that, right? And they just rolled it all back into NEE, I think, because they were trying to like siphon off the dividends and be shady. So I don't know. I was looking at this the other day, like you're going to need solar. You're going to need freaking everything. You are so far away. Like we're all trading these uranium names, like, like you're Peter Parker and you're going to create one of these in your freaking lab. You know what I mean? You're not, right? There's something called reality, let alone when they start trying to put these in people's backyards and going, oh, don't worry about it, bro. You got a small nuclear reactor over here, but we're calling it clean energy now, so it's cool. Like you still have to go through all that crap. We haven't even started that nonsense yet. I don't know. Too much of a tangent? That gets interesting. That's a really interesting conversation. So here's where I really think the money's going to be made. A lot of people were worried about the consumer, and a lot of people were worried about private equity and private credit. And it's turning into a bunch of crap by these numbers. Like Morgan's numbers were sick. Like they were just sick. So like Goldman level trading desk profits. So you start looking at the credit side of all these banks, because what you really want to look at when they come out is not only how much money they're making on the credit side. I can hear this echo. But not only what you want to look at like the credit side, right? But you always want to look at like, pardon me, their losses. Like how much losses are they taking? Meaning, are you taking more losses or less losses, right? So what do I mean by that? I mean, like, are you taking more losses in or are you taking less losses in? So are you thinking that you need to raise your loan loss reserve or not? And they're all like, nah, we're seeing some signs of some cracks, but it's good. And so, I'm short Carvana now, but I'm rethinking it. Maybe I'm wrong, but like Aries was getting smoked, Al's getting smoked, and they speak. But by the way, both of these CEOs speak today. So there was an event I was going to go to, and then I canceled it because we're fighting over freaking cooking oil, and I wanted to make sure that I'm here. But there's an event today. I should get this out while I'm thinking about it because a lot of people don't even know the event exists because it's private. Al will speak today. Aries will speak today. Galaxy speaks today. Novogratz will be at this thing speaking today. Hood will be speaking today. Maybe that's why it's up. Hood will be speaking today. I'm like, who else is there? I got the agenda somewhere. Hold on. Let me see if I can find it really quickly. No, that's my car insurance. Hold on. It's more car insurance. Hold on. What's this one? That's Congress is shutting down. I got the organizational skills. I used to, like years ago, I had this like assistant. She was so awesome. Like if I just asked for something, like she'd be like, here. And she'd look at me with such disdain. It was kind of funny. All right. Anyway, I have no idea where it is, but you have an event today. And if I can find it, subscribe to the channel. Make sure you subscribe to the channel because I do put stuff out there in the community tab, and the community tab will only show people that are subscribed. If you're not subscribed, you have like a 10% chance of seeing this stuff. If you're subscribed, you have like an 85 to 90% chance of seeing this stuff in your feed on the community tab. So make sure that you do subscribe. I'll put it out there. I'll get the agenda and I'll put it out there. But Hood speaks today. Galaxy speaks today. Aries speaks today. Al speaks today. Somebody else does too. That was really big. It'll come to me. I'll get it. What do I think, Julian? Bro, I don't get the rocket sell-off. But I will tell you what, I'm grateful for it. I just can't buy it here. Very rarely do I buy things that have broken that institutional level. IREN is going a lot higher. This is what I keep talking about, like on the research side, where people just aren't getting this stuff, where they told you what they were doing here, and like no one got it, like nobody. It was so bizarre. And even like the research side, like it's taken them forever to catch up, man. There's so much edge in research right now. I'm going to start writing again. Not like I'm the greatest at it. One, I like it, but I have that newsletter. I'm going to start getting more active with it. That is like possibly the worst joke ever. Like the joke doesn't even make any sense, bro. What's up, Troy? ADM. Well, I mean, you're probably going to get some play on the whole, we're going to make our own cooking oil, like the whole cooking oil thing, right? We can make our own cooking oil. We don't need your cooking oil. Oh, for God's sake. You might get some play there, but I don't know. I'm not really feeling that chart, to be honest with you, Ian. It doesn't mean I'm right. I'm just not feeling it. I'm not really interested in large caps. They can go, but I'm not really interested in morning from Miami. I think that the longer term prospects from it are really good. I think the shorter term, we got to get through the nonsense. But the longer term, yeah, I think you're there. The longer term, yeah, 100% you're there. So Kava makes no sense. Kava never made any sense where it was. Like Kava was the easiest short in the world, right? Like it just was. And once you broke this, they become the easiest shorts in the world. They just are. Sweet greens, like this kind of stuff, it just never made any sense. So I don't know why people are like shocked by, $70 salads not working. And then people get mad when I say that, but go and buy a salad, and you're leaving there and you got like an avocado and some lettuce and some croutons and you just paid $42. You don't know what happened. So, I don't know. I'm trying to figure this one out. Now, I had a trade in this and I got shaken out of it because I always see that I'm supposed to wait and then I don't wait because I have the patience of a gnat. But I did this trade and then it didn't work. I tell you where I did it. I did it right here. And then I got stopped out and then it gave me this and then it flipped. And then I just didn't want to do it again because my feelings were hurt. So, but it's definitely there. And you're going into earnings. So like, I don't know that earnings are going to be that bad. So like when I look at the earnings of this company, you're doing $6, right? Isn't that where you're at? Like something like $6 is what you're supposed to do next year. Let's take the last 4 and say you're doing 5, right? Okay, so I'm doing 5 times 100. I'm trading 20 times last year's earnings. So it doesn't really make sense to me where you're at. And I do think that you could lift here, but I don't know. I don't really understand why it's down from 180 to here. So that makes me apprehensive as well. But I do like it a lot. And I think I'm going to regret not having it into earnings. So I'm not really sure what I'm going to do about that. Perhaps some kind of option play. There might be something to look at there. I'm not really playing with these now, and that doesn't mean that I'm right. You had a perfect opportunity here. We saw this coming about a month ago, and I played with it a little bit, but it's just gotten so out of hand. You're just being short squeezed. I don't know if there's any viable reason for these things to move the way that they are right now. I just don't say it. Some of these names are going to be absolute disasters, and they're just outright frauds. So you have to sort through that stuff. Cute. I saw people getting all giddy about this because it's cooking oil, but that's Australian cooking oil. So are we going to buy Australian cooking oil? I don't know. Are we going to make our own cooking oil? I don't know. Cute. Look how crazy he got the other day. As soon as he said we're going to make our own cooking oil, everyone's like, well, who makes cooking oil? And here we are. I don't know, man. Go for it. But it's not really my kind of thing here. You're trying to hold some of these levels. And maybe you do hold some of them, but I don't know. I'm not really feeling that. Maybe on pullbacks. I think you have to look at that. I think you have to look at that stuff with a grain of salt. But I'm not getting stopped out at any of that stuff so far. Where are we here? Still not getting stopped out of it. So yep. All right, cool. I have no idea. What's up, Lynn? Bro, it's like everyone's like, get this camera. So I got like this Sony $800 thing. And I'm like, all I have is problems with it. This Logitech thing I plug in. I don't think it's done. No. I think DraftKings has issues. I own pins. I'm just going to do this super fast, guys. See what you have. Cool. You guys are crazy for your seed oils today. You guys are nuts for seed oils. Yeah. Oh, is that it? Oh, that's interesting. So I need that for defense. Do I? There's supposed to be some really big announcements coming in that space. I don't know if this is the one or not. What I would do with this stuff is I'd watch these pre-market highs and then see how you act on them. I was armor piercing book. Okay, got it. Yeah, you got to know where water is too. Is that TTI? Is that what they do? That's really interesting. I don't think a lot of people know that. CRDO. I remember looking at this thing at 80 bucks. Yeah, I'd be super careful with charts like that. You're up because somebody else in their space is up, right? I'd be super careful and super suspect of things like that. D-Pro, we started playing with in like single digits. I don't know that I would chase it now. Some of this stuff you look at and you're like, well, what do I do now? Some of it, man. How we bought this thing at like 270 when they told you what they were doing right here. You know, there's some things there like TEM, and there's another one out there too. That's super interesting. But I don't know. What's that other one you guys play with? You crazy kids play with Oscar, right? So the same setup on the chart. We just can't break through. When you do finally break through, man, this stuff's going to go. Like, it's the same chart. It's the same. It's probably the same group of people. Well, this one's a little different, isn't it? It's a proprietary indicator. ARAAF. I don't know. I'm just not going to trade this because of the fact that I'd have to look at that. What do they do? I think Jeff and those things are going to have like really good days, dude. I was thinking about this. Someone just came out. You know, this is super interesting. You're bringing this up because everybody's worried about this exposure. And I don't think there is. You know, let me go find this news. And that's where we're going to wrap it up today. Why? What is dropping on me? Because nothing drops on me. They only go up. Hold on 1 second here. Because that's a really good spot to end. Goldman today reiterates their buy on Jeffries. But didn't someone just extend and buy? Jeffries is exposed to $750 million in collapsing first brand debt. The fund had about $7 in receivables exposure, payments supposedly owed to major retailers like Walmart and AutoZone. The collapse of first brands might just be the beginning as cracks start to surface. I mean, he's called, 15 of the last 3 crashes in the market. So I'm not saying he's not a genius. He is, but I mean, everything's like a fraud to him, which is why he's so good. I don't know, man. Goldman coming out. There was someone that came out and took a huge stake in them the other day. I have to find out who it is. And you might want to look into that because it was super interesting because they were doing the exact opposite of what everybody was saying. But they, you always have to watch the people that are actually like putting their money where their mouth is. You know what I mean? So I always think that that's super interesting. All right, I'm going to jump. I think that's it. I think we're done here, right? That's it. Yeah, I don't eat seed oils. Yeah, I mean, gold is like just the outright no-brainer trade. Like it just was a no-brainer. We bought it here for like, I was able to get the trade off for like $3, like literally $3 of risk here. And I'm up $40. It's like 11-1 risk versus return. It's insane. And they mocked me in the room. Mocked I was. Who's victorious and has 2 thumbs? Pff, this guy. Yeah, I got to go. All right, later, guys. Make good choices.